Hey guys, welcome back for the next episode, and today we're going to be doing one of the simplest things I think there is to do, tomato sauce. And I think it's one of the most worthwhile things to do because the effort it takes is this much. So we're going to first chop an onion. I'm going to show you a good way to chop an onion and to peel garlic really easily, and then we're just going to get cooking. Okay, so first the onion. I think the recipe calls for half a medium onion diced. And this is just a normal size onion. It's not super big or super small. So, and this is kind of the way I would do any onion, even though it asks for half. I always start it by cutting it in half. So even if it asks for a whole onion, this is how I would do it normally. First, remember how to hold your blade. Get it nice, and this time we're not going to hold it like this. We're just going to hold it like this and just stick your blade in like this. And just run your knife right down. And a good way to not start tearing up, put the cut side down. There you go. So now none of the onion smell is going to get into your eyes and make you start crying. So first, you want to cut right through the root, right in half, see that? So then you're going to start and you're going to cut off the other end. Just slice off a little portion of the end. I'm pretty much using all lever one here. Just remember that motion like we did. Nice and steady motion. So we cut off the end, and what we're going to do next is we're going to make little slits. And if you notice, I'm not cutting all the way back. I'm coming about quarter inch to half inch away from the root. I'm not going all the way back. And what that does, it lets the onion stay intact. So I'm going to make 3 cuts in 3 directions. I just made my first cut all this way. Then I'm going to lay my knife flat and just come into it like that. Just like that. Make sure to have your hand kind of up like this so you're not going to catch your fingers. Kind of get your hand up. So I made just 2 good cuts about the same distance back. And now I can just do lever 1 right across them. Look at that. Diced onion in about 30 seconds. And I'm not crying. They're pretty much all the same size, so they're going to cook really evenly. And that's about it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it again to show you again. So cut off the non-root end. Little slices, not all the way through. And this one, I'm actually kind of coming back. Like I'll start here and then I'll come back and through. Like that. So really it's like a reverse. Instead of like this and down, I'll come back and down. I'll come down, get it started. Another one. And then chop. Okay, next we're going to do the garlic, and I've seen all kinds of weird contraptions to peel and cut garlic, but really this is just the easiest way I've found. You'll see there's the bottom end, which is this flat part, and then there's always a top end which has this little pointed tip to it. So I'm sure you've seen this before. You kind of take your knife just like this and just give it a light smash. You don't want to completely obliterate the thing, but give it a good, just like that, just to crush it a little bit and release the paper some, and do the other one. Now what works for me about 9 times out of 10 is you grab the pointy end just like this and you pinch it and you squeeze it against your cutting board and out pops your garlic. No skin at all. All the skin came off. Try it again. Pinch right against your board. And there it is right there. Skin comes off and you don't have to do this and get all the garlic all over your hands, because I know sometimes that can be quite a stinky thing to deal with. And then you can use your lever 2 to just cut your garlic. And this is kind of like using those mushrooms, you know, anything really small, you really want to make sure to have your fingers protected pretty well, because small things are hard to get your fingers on and it's easier to cut your fingers. And this really doesn't have to be anything accurate, you know, just a decent chop, just like that. So onions and garlic are ready. Okay, next is the basil. Since these leaves are so big, I like to cut them up before I put them in the sauce. What I'm going to do is, it's called chiffonade, and it's just a fancy way of saying cut into strips. So I'm going to stack them like this and then roll them up real tight. Not real tight, just roll them up. And then just use a nice lever 2 motion that we all know and love now, and cut them into little strips like this. You get a little stem, it's okay, it still tastes good. And that way you don't have a big leaf and your flavor can distribute a lot easier through the sauce. Oregano, it's got small leaves. I'm not going to cut that up, I'm just going to throw it right in. Let's get cooking. Alright, we got everything chopped and we're ready to go. I'm going to hopefully be following the recipe, but you know, if I'm off, it's not a big deal. And of course, if you like things to a different taste, feel free to change it. Want more tomatoes or less garlic or whatever. So I've got approximately 3 tablespoons of oil heating up here. I think it should be hot enough. And we're just going to throw our onions right in. And we'll also want to put in just a little pinch of salt. And what this is going to do, the reason I'm putting the salt in right now, I mean, especially this kosher salt with larger flakes like this, I mean, it's meant to draw out moisture from the food. So that's what it's going to do to these onions. It's going to pull out all that moisture, and it's really going to help us to concentrate flavor. If you remove moisture, of course, all you're going to be left with is just, you know, your base flavor, just like this tomato paste. And there's another reason I like to use these onions, and it's because they have such an inherent sweetness. And if you even go and look at any of your standard tomato sauces in a jar at any supermarket, you'll see anywhere from 5 to 10 grams of just sugar in there. And I measured that out before, and that's equal to a whole tablespoon of sugar, and that's per serving, that's per half cup. So for every half cup, you could imagine yourself sprinkling a tablespoon of sugar on top of your spaghetti or on your pizza or whatever, when it's already in the onions for you. Once these cook down for about 7 minutes, they're going to add enough sweetness, all the sweetness you need to the sauce. Okay, onions have been going for about 7 minutes here, and they're taking on some good color. And that's where we're getting a bunch of our good sweetness from, when they start to caramelize like that. So at this point we're going to add the garlic, and I'm not going to do it earlier because I don't want the garlic to burn. The pieces are so small that if they burn, it makes the whole dish bitter, and you're going to have to do it over again. So we'll only do this for about 1 minute. Okay, garlic's been cooking for about a minute, and this is the time where you just add everything else. So tomato paste goes in, about a tablespoon, that's a generous tablespoon. Basil, oregano, and I've got 2 cans of tomatoes. I use whole tomatoes, but you can use diced if you want. And surprisingly enough, that is it. That's all you need to do. Now you can crush up the tomatoes if you want a little bit. Sometimes I get my hands in there and squeeze them. You can leave them whole, they'll break down. But put this on a low simmer for 20 minutes, maybe even an hour. You can leave it uncovered, and then you're done. Really, I mean, I don't know what else you could get for such a simple dish. For pasta, I like to leave it a little chunky, or you can put the stick blender to it if you want to do a pizza sauce, which is what I like to do, but that's not too important. Okay, well that's it for this episode. Make sure to join me next time. We're going to be tackling the first viewer request, and it is a very tasty recipe, I might add. So thanks for joining me again. I'll see you next time.